Okay, Obfuscate, are you ready for my dangerous teleportation experiment?
Why me, you worthless pile of dirt?
Well, you're immortal, right?
Yeah, that's why I usually keep everyone away. Because they'll all die, and I'll be forced to spend my endless life missing them. So it's best not to have that happen.
And that's why you're gonna be my test subject. Absolutely no risk! Now, go!
Roar!
So, now we wait for him to come back.
Hey, I thought you were done playing dumb, Seatail.
Do you think my dream of being in a drumline is dumb, Carl?
No. What the? The GameMaker fruit game? Well, don't mind if I do. Take this, you worthless apple! And this! And that! And...
Everything alright, Obfuscate? Obfuscate? Oh hey, it works.
GameMaker, one of those things that is taught in probably many 9th grade computer classes. At least it was taught in my 9th grade computers class. It's also the thing that Undertale was made in, funnily enough. Anyway, GameMaker was designed to make game development easy. I mean, when it came out in 1999, what was the alternative?
Click and play? To be honest though, click and play is easier than GameMaker.
Yeah, well, that costs money, and GameMaker was free, unless you wanted to do certain things. And I say was free, because it isn't anymore. But anyway, due to GameMaker's accessibility and ease of use, at the time, it was actually how I got into programming back when I was in elementary school. I learned the software mostly from following YouTube tutorials. Speaking of those tutorials, I wonder if anyone in my audience remembers StevMay09. Anyway, GameMaker's main selling point is how you can do everything, from making sprites to creating objects to making levels to not making sound, really easily inside of the software. Also, to make games, you don't need to use code, but rather drag and drop actions that totally aren't just code in disguise. Of course, you could use code if you wanted to, in the form of a language called GML, GameMaker language. But anyway, inside of a room in GameMaker, which is the GameMaker term for a level, you have the option to execute a bit of code when the room starts up. I mostly use this just when making alternate entrances to rooms in a building. In this video, I want to try making an entire game using just the room's creation code. This was a bad idea, but I'm doing it anyway. This is GameMaker, the right way. So in this video, I'm just gonna make that little fruit game that I'm pretty sure everyone who has ever used GameMaker 8 has made at some point. You click the fruits to get points, and if you click the bomb, you lose. More bombs spawn as time goes on to make the game harder, because one bomb and a bunch of fruits is really, really easy. But anyway, the rules for the challenge are as follows. I may only create one room, but I may use any of the room's features in order to create the game. I may not create any other resources through the GameMaker IDE itself, and I may not use any extensions. So the first step is pretty obvious. Launch GameMaker and create a room. Now let's start off simple and add that wood background.
Wait, how are you gonna do that? You can't create a background resource to use.
Correction! I can't create a background resource through the IDE. However, after digging through the GameMaker manual, I figured out that you can create a background through code. All you need to do to create a background is to use the add background GML function and apply it to the room. For some reason, it doesn't apply the background until I restart the room though, so I do that. Oh, and because that will make the room restart over and over and over again, I need to use a global variable that is set to true only after the room restarts for the first time. When that variable is false, the room will restart. This will make it so that the room will restart a grand total of 1 time. So now we have a wooden background.
Hold on, where does that variable come from? You never declared it anywhere.
Well, in GameMaker 8.1, there is this wonderfully awful option to declare every single variable as 0. This was removed in later versions of GameMaker because it's terrible. But I can use it here. Objects in GameMaker have 2 components, the objects themselves and their sprites. And also maybe their code and everything else, but you're just gonna say it has 2 components. So, I made a wall sprite in a similar fashion to making the background. And I made an object for the wall. The wall is solid and it has a sprite, but it doesn't really do anything else. So now I just need to add the wall to the room using a for loop. Now I need to fix the for loop because I'm bad at writing code. Now I need to make sure that it only spawns walls on the outside of the for loop. Also in this virtual machine, GameMaker games annoyingly flicker and I have no idea how to fix it. Hey, that looks about right. Making the apple is similar to making the wall, except the sprite is an apple and it isn't solid. The wall also did absolutely nothing, but the fruit isn't so lucky. The fruit needs to have code, which can be added using the object_event_add function, which takes in an object, an ID for an event, which in this case is when the apple is created, a non-optional argument for the event, which create does not have, and then the event script. The event's code is expressed as a freaking string. So that technically means GameMaker has self-modifying code! Hooray! But anyway, the create event assigns a random direction to the apple and then moves it at a constant speed. The collision event, which has the non-optional argument set to the wall so that we specify we are colliding with the wall, will cause the apple to bounce. So when we run the game, we have a fruit and it's bouncing around the map. Nice. Now when it is clicked, specified as event left press, it teleports somewhere random by setting its coordinates, changes its direction, and gives the player some points. So let's just run this and... it's not working. That's because event left press is supposed to be the argument for the event, and the main part of the event is supposed to be that it's the mouse. Thanks, GameMaker, for specifying that we're clicking the left part of the mouse, because otherwise I may have been attempting to specify to press the left control key instead. So now it actually does work. Hooray. This challenge was a terrible idea. Now seems like a good time to add audio, in particular a sound for when you click the fruit, and some terrible default MIDI that came with GameMaker. Sounds are added, how else, using the built-in sound_add function. And if you are familiar with GML, you've probably run into sound play at some point in your life. So now the game is more lively? I don't know how to describe it. Also, what the heck happened to my frame rate, OBS? Now let's add the bomb. Clicking the bomb makes you lose, so what it does is it plays the lose sound, pauses everything for a bit, shows the high score table, and then restarts the game. Now, when you specify showing a high score, GameMaker's autocomplete says it takes one argument. Number!
What the heck? What do they mean by number?
I don't know. Guess.
Maybe the number of entries in the high score table?
Well, that's what I thought it was too! I also stupidly decided not to look it up. That wasn't the right sound! Also, no matter what, since I put in 10 for number, it thinks my score is 10. So that's what number was. It's almost like they should have made the autocomplete more descriptive or something. And about that wrong sound thing, that's actually tied to another issue I ran into. In the bomb step event, I wanted it to have a low chance of spawning a bomb somewhere else, so the game gets harder over time. My first attempt caused it to spawn walls randomly instead. This is because these resource values aren't actually added to the normal global list of resources, so here they're all local variables. And by default, since the variables start at 0, the bomb spawns the 0th object in the game, which is the wall, and it plays the 0th sound, the click sound. So that's where the sound problem came from.
So, how do we fix it?
By by making everything global! Hooray! So now the game has all of the necessary components of the fruit game. All that's left to add is a variety of fruits, and now it basically looks like the original thing! Except terrible. So yeah, that's how to make a GameMaker game that basically just looks like an empty file. In other words, this is the GameMaker fruit game made the right way. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I don't know what that'll be.